Every year, tennis players from around the world compete for excellence, triumphing against all odds to emerge the champions. I'm your host, Madi Harrison. Join me as I get up close and personal with these dynamic individuals and find out what it takes to go for greatness. Let's go beyond the match. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Match. I'm your host, Madi Harrison, and I'm so thrilled for today's guest, someone who's truly worked her way up the ladder on the WTA Tour to earn her place where she's at today. She's currently ranked 220 in the world in singles and been as high as 154 in doubles. She has 26 pro titles combined singles and doubles and recently competed in Roland Garros. Recently this year, she also helped her country, Lithuania, move up to Group Stage 1 for the first time in 17 years in the Billie Jean King Cup. Without further ado, Justina, welcome to Beyond the Match.
Hi, thank you, Madison, for welcoming me. It's a pleasure to talk to you and share whatever we will talk about with your audience. And I'm excited for this podcast, and we can begin, I think.
Yes, well, thank you so much for being here. Whenever you hear the podcast name Beyond the Match, what comes to your mind?
I think first thing that tennis is such a sport that there is so many things that go around that's like tennis, but it's not only tennis what people see on the tennis court. It's just like there is so much happening behind the scenes, like tennis traveling, organizing, managing your time, organizing your practices, and it's really complicated. And I think that many people that just watch tennis, they don't realize what actually tennis players have to go through to be where they are and perform the way they do.
100% agree with you on that. One of those misconceptions that comes to my mind is to do with finances and how much money tennis players actually make. And I think a lot of that misconception comes from some of the highest paid female athletes in the world are tennis players. And so a lot of people think all tennis players are just living the high life if you're a pro tennis player. But being 220 in the world right now, from a financial perspective, what is it really like on the WTA Tour?
Being 220 in the world, really, I'm just like at the edge to make like Grand Slam qualifying. So my goal is definitely to break through this ranking because I think that's like almost the most competitive ranking because players that around this stage, they play so much, like almost every week, and everybody just wants to go away from that. And I think financially, we don't earn that much, maybe what people imagine, because we have to invest a lot in ourselves, in our practices, in coaches. And, traveling these days is super expensive. And especially now as the flights prices have increased so much. And of course, hotels and everything, because, playing on the women's tour, we have to play many ITF tournaments because ITFs are also going up, like up to 100, not like, let's say, challengers where guys reach challengers and then they have like free hotels, and I think that helps so much to the players. So, and for the women's, it's not like that. So every week we have to pay for ourselves, and if we bring coaches, it's like we double or even triple our expenses because we also have to pay salaries. So I don't think that financially it's a good place to be at this ranking. Obviously, you have to get better in the rankings to be able to actually live more freely and just worry less about the financial part, I think.
Do you travel with a coach regularly?
So I travel a lot with my boyfriend. So I don't have to spend so much money for a coach because it can be super expensive. But even my boyfriend, he doesn't travel with me every week. I would say in the last months he travels more. But yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that he's with me and he helps me so much, that he understands and wants the best for me. But if I had like a full-time coach, that would be so costly. And honestly, I can't even imagine, how much more money I would spend. But yeah, so I don't travel with coach, like, like other person that's not like close to me. So I'm kind of lucky on that part, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember last year when I saw you in St. Palais-sur-Mer at the tournament in France. Your boyfriend was with you there too, and he played
Yeah,
tennis also at the University of Kentucky, like you, right?
yeah. He did, and yeah, that's where we met. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
right.
So is he able to ever help coach you, or do you like to have that kind of separation between the relationship and
Yeah,
tennis?
I mean, he helps me a lot. Like, honestly, if it was not him, maybe I would not even play tennis because uh, at the time when I was still in Kentucky, I was really not sure if I'm gonna continue playing pro or I will just maybe do my masters and just try to find like different life besides like being professional tennis player. But then he kind of like gave me this idea. Maybe I should like think about it one more time and like really give it a chance. So yeah, then the last 2 years of my college, I think I kind of decided to give it a chance and like try myself in a pro tour. And yeah, I think at the end it was a good decision, but I don't know if I was really alone without him, if I would be brave enough to like, just like start it there. Because, after college, it's not easy. You have to start everything from zero. And yeah, so.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I know a lot of tennis players that I've talked to, a lot of them are kind of like they don't want to be in a relationship while they're competing because it can be so difficult to almost do long distance, even if you live in the same place because of all the travel. But it sounds like it almost gives you a sense of stability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's uh, like many players say that they would never date another tennis player because it's just like boring or whatever. But I think it's kind of opposite because for me, he understands, perfectly tennis players' life. And if I travel, let's say for a couple weeks and we don't see each other, he knows, what I'm doing, which I have like some friends, that they were just dating someone like from a normal life, with normal job, and they just don't understand because tennis players' life is just so demanding. And yeah, you really have to sacrifice many things. And I think being, with tennis player, for me, it helps because I know that he understands whatever it takes for me.
Mhm. Well, that's great. I know a lot of players also talk about needing to prioritize themselves and their practices, their travel schedule, and all of that part of their lives. To what degree do you think tennis players need to be selfish in order to be successful?
Yeah, I think you have to be sometimes because, you know, you have to make sure you get enough rest. You have to make sure you eat the right food. You have to make sure like so many things that you're able to perform on your match days. And tennis, I think it's just like a so sensitive sport. Like if you don't sleep good, you probably will not perform next day. So there are so many times that you have to say no to your friends, maybe sometimes even to your family. And yeah, it's not easy, but I think to get there, sometimes you have to be selfish. And I mean, a lot of times it feels that, you are one person and there's so many things just happening around you so you can perform. And yeah, I think tennis is such a demanding sport and your career is quite short. And if you don't do right things, you probably won't succeed because every detail counts. So yeah, it's not easy sometimes because there are so many temptations. You're young, you want to do things, you want to enjoy, but Yeah, I think it's part of the process and you have to accept that.
100%. So you live in Paris, one of my favorite cities in the world. And I just have to tell the short story of my first time in Paris because that's really the first time that I ever talked to you outside of a tennis court. And you were just so nice. So I was in Paris back in
Oh yes, I
2019.
remember.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was with one of my friends, and this was my
Yeah.
first ever vacation, like not to do with tennis. And I think I posted a story on Instagram
Yeah.
and you replied saying that you live in Paris and you can show us around. I think that's how it went, at least. Do you
Yeah.
remember that day?
Yeah, I perfectly remember. Yeah. I mean, first, like, I got to know you from college, right? Because we were in same conference. And then, yeah, I saw you were there. And every summer back then, I would come to Paris, even when I was still in college. So, yeah, you were there. And then I just thought, I was just 5 minutes away. So I have to see you because it would be crazy to not, when you're
Well, that was so
older
nice. It
in
was so
Paris.
nice and so memorable. And after you left, my friend said to me, like, something along the lines of like you and I being really good friends. And I was like, no, this is really the first time we've ever like hung out outside of
Yeah.
a tennis court. And she was shocked because you were so nice, but that was so fun.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Mhm. So, your life in Paris, what's your day to day life like on a day of training?
Yeah. So I would say when I am in Paris in between tournaments, I usually try to at least give myself like full 2 hour session like of tennis or even 3 hours and then fitness. But then if I do like a preseason, then I would probably play always tennis twice and one fitness session. And then yeah, trying to push myself and get better. But yeah, in between tournaments, I would say it kind of depends how I feel, how I did the weeks before. And yeah, but yeah, just like playing, practicing, doing fitness, and then also seeing physio when I need, and yeah, when my body needs. So that's kind of it. And I mean, of course, Paris is busy city, so sometimes like it takes time, to get like from one place to another, like staying in traffic or uh, taking metro. So I feel like sometimes it's tiring a little bit because you lose a lot of time just like getting from one place to another. But yeah, I think Paris is a fun city, has many things to offer, but yeah, it's many people busy, and yeah, when I'm home I just try to rest as much as I can, and yeah, just work on my things, what I was struggling during tournaments. And yeah, I mean, it's always busy time when I'm in Paris because there's always so many things to do when you come back home, after tournaments. But I love to go to the city also sometimes on my free time, just like get a cup of coffee, just like sit and enjoy the city also.
Yes, nutrition is also obviously really important for any pro athlete. Do you cook a lot or do you go out to eat and have a lot of the croissants and pastries that Paris has?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, when you go to some countries where it's a struggle with the food. For example, we were in India in the beginning of the year, and for 3 weeks we were like really struggling. We were eating just like plain pasta every day. So like after we came back to France, we missed like a normal food. So yeah, I think maybe on the days off like we get like some pastries which are nice, but then on the normal practice days we try to like eat healthy and cook a lot at home. And yeah, because it's definitely important for athletes, especially I don't know, for tennis players, to feel good and strong, in their bodies. And yeah, because I think if you don't, then it can definitely affect your performance. Yeah.
Yeah. How many weeks do you spend on the road playing tournaments versus weeks at home?
Yeah, I think I spent so many weeks traveling, like probably like 35 weeks in a year at tournaments.
Wow.
And then, then there are weeks, practice weeks, sometimes maybe even going to like, I don't know, like Spain or south of France for practicing like couple of weeks there and there. And yeah, and these weeks, it's practice weeks, but it's still like not really like rest week, so you don't feel like you're like home. But yeah, so definitely there's a lot of traveling, and then of course I want to go home to Lithuania where all my family is. And I think I never have enough time to go there because I practice always in France. So yeah, it's not easy, I think, like tennis life, but it's for a purpose. You have a goal, and as I said, there's like a lot of sacrifices in tennis, but yeah, there's a lot of traveling. Definitely it can be challenging and not for everyone, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As I mentioned in the intro, you're someone who really worked your way up the ladder to get to where you are right now. Whenever you started on the pro tour, did you ever receive any wild cards, or were you just starting out at the 15Ks, now 35Ks, and working your way up?
Hmm. Yeah, so I started playing my last summer before my senior year, before my last year of college. So I played just maybe like 3 ITFs during summer. And then when I came back to college, our coach allowed us to play like three, I think, if I'm right, more ITFs in states. And yeah, I actually did, I think, pretty okay, that I managed to get some points and maybe like be 1000 something, like, after college when I finished. And then really from there, I just started like, climbing and like this real like tennis grind. And yeah, I didn't get like many wild cards. I remember just after college, I received one wild card that had like in Lexington in my university. Yeah, it was like 60,000, but I lost first round, so it was not the a lot of help for my ranking. But it was still a good experience, and just like I guess motivation to be able to play like 60,000 almost like right after college, because at that time everything seemed so new, and every tournament was like new experience. And yeah, so I would say I pretty much had to climb my way up from like zero.
Yeah, that's so impressive. What is the worst or roughest tournament experience you ever had?
um I think it's never easy going like outside Europe. uh like I would say in India, like it's always challenging because just the whole culture, like the food is so different, and you have to adapt. And also, of course, the weather is challenging. I remember I went there one time in September, and it was super humid. I couldn't even like hold my grip, when I was serving. So that's always challenging. And yeah, I think if you go there also for many weeks, mentally you get a little bit tired, because it's just so different. So I would say that that was like one of my most challenging, maybe, trips. And yeah, there were just so many like interesting trips, I think. But I don't remember I had like any like really bad experiences besides maybe one time when I went to Mexico and they lost my luggage and it completely disappeared and never came back to me. So that was like a bad experience, but
Was it your rackets too?
I luckily I had my rackets with me, so that was okay. But still, I was there for 3 weeks and I had like no clothes, nothing. So just like borrowed few things from my friends and bought few things and had to change strings while I was there. So that was, I think, challenging trip for that reason.
Going back to your trip to India, I just want to point out what some of what you were describing. Whenever you are there for a tournament, you're pretty much describing that when you get off the court, you don't just get to relax because, everything is so different and just getting around, the travel, the food, you have to really be on with your brain all the time. And then you never really get that mental rest. Is that kind of what you felt?
Yeah, because you're always doing the same things, the city is just so different that it's kind of scary to go out in the streets, alone. Even I was there with my boyfriend, but we were just always staying in the hotel because the streets are, dirty, and when you're out everybody's just watching you because they see you're not local. And yeah, we were pretty careful with the food, and I think these things like really drains you. And yeah, it's not easy. I think first week is okay, maybe it's like a little bit fun, because it's like different. But then after, you just get to do same thing over and over, so it just keeps you get tired. And I think when you're in the third week, you really just can't wait to go back home.
Going back to 2022, Wimbledon, was that your first Grand Slam experience?
Yes, it was my first Grand Slam. Yes.
What was that like for you leading up to the tournament? Like, were you on the edge of getting in, or did you know you were in kind of far out?
Yeah. So I was already in, and yeah, I was already in, so I knew I was gonna play for sure. But yeah, it was just really exciting, and I remember I was also like nervous because it's like my first, big Grand Slam. And yeah, it's just like it felt different. It felt like, like you kind of made there. It's like a celebration almost of all the things you've done, to get there. And yeah, it was really, really exciting to be there and play there. And but I think every Grand Slam feels like this, but it was like the first one, so it was, I think, really special for sure.
Mhm. Did you have any expectations for yourself in the tournament?
Expectations I didn't have, but of course you wanted to do as good as possible. So I just knew that I'll go there and I'll just try to give the best I can, because every player, that plays there, they're good and everyone deserves to be there. So, it's not going to be easy. Everyone will fight because it's Grand Slam and it's important to everyone. So I didn't have expectations, just, trying to give my best and then take it like step by step.
Yes. You recently played in Roland Garros this year also. So huge
Mhm.
congratulations on also achieving that. From a player's perspective, what are some of the differences in how players are treated at Wimbledon versus Roland Garros?
Yeah, so it's different. For example, qualifying in Wimbledon, it's played at the other side, not on the main Wimbledon courts. So in Roland Garros, qualifying is played on the main side. So I think it's very nice, for the qualifying players to be there and just like walk around where the main draw players are, and just be really part of it. And I think in Wimbledon, it's just you have to kind of um, like qualify and to get to experience the real Wimbledon main side and whole thing. Of course, they take care of you very well, much better than in ITF tournaments and smaller tournaments. But I would say that Roland Garros qualifying, it's more special to be playing on the main courts. But on the other hand, Wimbledon, you have to play in all white, so and it's grass. You almost like never play on grass besides that tournament. So it's special also, and I think every Grand Slam is special. It's just maybe nicer to be on the main side. But besides that, I think it's just a great experience to be there and be able to play Grand Slam.
It's almost like you got a little taste of it, and then that's like motivating to get you now to the next time main draw. What about in terms of hospitality, how the tournaments, Wimbledon and Roland Garros, treat the players? Because I've always heard people say really great things about Australian Open, but between these two, what were their differences?
I would say it's pretty similar. Like you get per diem that you can use for your hotel or apartment, whatever you will decide to do. So you get like I think it's like 340 euros for French Open every day, and you can spend this money as much like whatever you like. You can get hotel. If you get for 200 euros per night, you'll have like 140 left for whatever you want to do with it. So they'll just credit you like after the tournament. And in Wimbledon, it's pretty much the same. You get like 300 pounds, and you can spend it however you want. So, and then they pick you up from the airport while you're there with the food. They put money on your accreditation, and you can just spend it, buying from the cafeteria or the restaurant, whatever food they have. And yeah.
What about player gifts?
Player gifts?
Did you receive any player gift from the tournament?
Yeah, well, I would say, I received. I think in Wimbledon they gave like glasses and like nothing special, just like glasses and drink bottle, like nice one, but it wasn't like crazy. And for Roland Garros, they gave, what did they give? Like some souvenirs, like magnets, keychains, also like towels and coffee mug. So nothing like crazy, small souvenirs, I would say, from tournaments. But it's pretty still nice. Oh, also in Roland Garros, they gave like a sunscreen and like lipstick and yeah. So
probably things from the sponsors.
Yes, more from the sponsors. I was into something that you can remember from the tournament.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned before, this year you also helped Lithuania move up to group stage 1 for the first time in 17 years in the Billie Jean King Cup. What did it mean for you to be a part of the team that made that happen and represent your country doing that?
Yeah, I mean, it meant so much, especially we were playing in our own country, and group 2 it's not easy to get out of it because there's just so many teams. I think we were 12 teams or 11, and there were like 3 groups and only 2 teams qualified to the group 1. And all those teams are competitive, and all of those teams have at least one good player, like really good player. I mean, like 200 and above possible. And so every match will never be easy, and we had also like some deciding doubles that were important, and we managed to win. But it was a nice feeling because our goal was to stay in the group. Like we knew it's not gonna be easy, and we managed to actually go up, so reach our goal and even more. And it was nice and special, especially that Lithuania didn't do it for such a long time. And of course, it's very nice to be, in the team when your country does well. And I think one more important and nice thing was that Billie Jean King was there. She came to visit like the whole group, and yeah, so it was also a nice experience to play in front of her and actually see her. We even had opportunity to talk to her and ask questions. Yeah, so I think it was nice to be able to do it, especially at home. And I think it's a big achievement for our country. Yeah, for our small country.
Yeah, that's incredible. What was the atmosphere like? Was there a crowd watching and was it just like a lot of energy?
Yeah, so in Billie Jean King Cup, it's a little bit different format that compared to Davis Cup. So for us, we had to play every day, like two singles and one doubles. So for example, let's say number two would start singles, then I would play singles, and then we would have doubles. So in order to play three matches, we had to start early, like 11. So, and it was, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday work days where people are working. So during mornings, we would not have so many people, but at night, if the matches would get longer, some people would come. And I think when we had deciding doubles, many people came, and supported us. And I think that really helped us because it was really important. And yeah, so I think definitely in important moments, people helped us to get through difficult matches. And yeah, I think it's very nice, like definitely, especially playing in your home country, you get more support than like other teams, so it's always nice. And I believe that that was maybe a little bit of a reason that we won, important moments. And yeah, it was a good experience.
Absolutely. Playing home can just help give you that edge, that extra motivation that you need. Going all the way back to 2012, you had already played the Billie Jean King Cup back then. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. Yeah, before college.
Mhm. And I saw you guys played against Tunisia and you played a doubles match against Ange Jabeur. Do you
Mm-hmm.
remember that?
Honestly, I don't remember because it was such a long time ago, and I think at that time she was not famous yet. And yeah, so I didn't, really think that she will become such a famous and well-known player at that time. So unfortunately, I don't remember much because I was also so young, and yeah, but I remember, when I was playing at that age for my country, it was just, really nice to be part of the team and being able actually to play matches, important matches. Yeah, so no, I remember like we played Tunisia, then I played even Maya Sharif also when she was also not, she also after went to college. So at that time, no one even knew that, she will make it to the top. But yeah, yes, unfortunately, I don't remember on Jabber
Yeah, it's
much, but
wild that you can play against her and then within a few years she's two in the world, but at the
yeah,
time you weren't even able to tell.
yeah. No, for
Mhm.
sure, for
What's one
sure.
of your best matches that you ever played or most memorable matches?
Um, I would say, well, definitely some matches in Billie Jean King Cup because it's always special to play for your country. And even like this year, when we managed to go up in the group, I think every match was memorable, and I will always remember those moments. But then I would say, let's think. I mean, Grand Slams were definitely matches that I will remember. And maybe I remember well, winning, making like, I don't know, my first 15K final or winning my first 25K tournament. Yeah, I think these are like nice memories, and it's always nice to come back and see. the things that you did good and take that motivation.
Absolutely. Those are milestones in your career. What about college tennis? Do you have any
Mhm.
memorable matches from college?
Um, yeah, I think um, when we qualify for NCAA tournament, when we you know these matches where I, let's say, clinch the match, or I don't know, like college matches were just so like energetic and every match seemed so exciting. I don't remember like specific match that I would say like, oh, that was like, the best match and I remember the most. But I don't know, in college there were just so many nice memories that, I just remember like high energy and team support that's just so different from like playing professional tennis. And yeah, it's just so much good energy, I think, and so many things that I learned and could, that helped me to grow and take it to the next level when I went and started to play pro.
Yes. So you've had a ton of success in doubles on the pro tour. Do you
Yeah,
feel like college had a really big impact on that because of the emphasis on doubles in college tennis?
yeah, I definitely think that's true because as I think about going back to college, starting college, I don't remember, practicing doubles drills like in practices. And in college, sometimes we would have just like the whole practices just for doubles. And I definitely improved in doubles a lot in college, and it just became a fun game, and I enjoyed it a lot. And even after college, I got so many great results from the beginning because I just understood, how to play doubles and enjoyed it. And I believe college helped to have those good results in doubles in Pro Tour because many players, they just never practice doubles and they don't know, where to stand, formations, just simple things, what to do. And in college, we learn all those things. So I think any player coming from college, many players can be good doubles players. So I think definitely college helps to grow as a doubles player, and it's a good
Absolutely.
transition, yeah, to play pro.
Yes. Do you think that doubles or singles is more entertaining to watch
In general,
in general?
yeah, I think doubles actually is more entertaining. Like, of course, it depends on the players' styles, but I think in nowadays, like, when many players are playing fast and maybe like less like using their hands like in the past, I think doubles is more entertaining to watch because there's just so many things going on and it's maybe more tactical. There's formations, interceptions, and the points are not as long. So I would say doubles is more entertaining for me. Yeah.
I 100% agree with you on that. Do you think doubles should have a larger fan base than it does then?
Yes, it just, I think it's hard to promote it because maybe also the games are faster, and I don't know why, but it just, tennis is kind of sport that focus on singles players, and they put a lot attention to the players, and yeah, so I think it should definitely have more put more attention on doubles. Sadly, it's not promoted good enough. It doesn't show as much doubles on TV as it shows singles, but doubles is fun to watch, and I think many people that don't check doubles, that don't follow, they don't even realize how fun it is because no one even talks about it. So yeah, I think it's hard make it happen. But maybe one day it will change. But at the moment, yeah, doubles don't get that much attention as singles does.
Yeah, absolutely. So, confidence is everything in tennis, and being an individual sport with, as we've discussed, so many moving parts. When someone lacks confidence, it can really be detrimental to their career. Have you ever experienced any point in time where you lacked confidence on or off the court?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I think confidence is so important in tennis, as tennis is an individual sport. Yeah, definitely. Like, I think when I do better results, I feel more confident and I just go on the court more free, more relaxed. And just, when you do a few weeks worse than usually, you might feel more pressure and you're just putting yourself down and just feeling like you have lack of confidence. And I think it's crucial because sometimes you can play better just because you have more confidence. Yeah, I think it's super important, but it's so hard because it's just so mental. And yeah, I think confidence comes from so many things. It comes from your results, it comes from practices, it comes from uh, just like, physical preparation, just from your results, from many, many things. And it's just like combination. And yeah, but I think it's definitely very, very important.
What advice can you give to any players out there who are lacking confidence right now on the court and they're just struggling to find it?
um yeah, I would say sometimes, in tennis it's hard, it's easy to burn yourself a little bit, just put yourself down. So I think if you feel like this, maybe sometimes it's just better to take a step back and take a few days off and then just go back to practice, just work hard and do fitness, try to like manage your days well, eat well, and try to feel good. And I'm sure if you'll just do all the things that you think of that you want to do that will help you to achieve your goals, you will feel better. And if you will know that you've done all the things that you could, that were in your hands, in your control, you will feel more confident just because of that. So I think it's important to control what you can control. And yeah, just
I
take
love
little
that.
steps.
Absolutely love that. What about another advice question here? What advice would you give to players who were really similar to you, who, they're maybe just out of college or maybe even younger than that and just starting out on tour and they have 0 points and they really have to work their way up and they're feeling overwhelmed with the process?
I would say try to play as many matches as possible. Maybe, coming to Europe, and there is many like small tournaments like where you can earn some money, and maybe this opportunity can help, to play matches, get some money, and then invest in your tournaments. And also try to maybe enter some teams like playing for a club in Germany, in France. It can help you to, start off and just to not feel maybe a lot of financial pressure in the beginning. I think the beginning is the most hard part to start when you start from zero and no one knows you, no one even knows if you can play tennis, and you kind of have to prove to everyone that you can. And I think the beginning is hardest part because from college, you come a little bit older, like you come 22, 23, not like 18 years old, and many people probably think that you cannot do it because you have no ranking, like what you've done all these years, because they have no idea that you went to college. So I think it's just important to play as many matches as possible and just give yourself like financial base to be able to travel and just put yourself out there and see how you do. Just give yourself a chance.
That's absolutely great advice. We're coming on to our last couple of questions here. So for you, for the remainder of 2024, what are your goals?
My main goal is to break through the top 200, to not be able to not stay like at the edge of the Grand Slams, to not think like, oh, like I have to make these points because if not I'm gonna drop. I just want to be like comfortably in the Grand Slams, and then once I make it, I think my next goal is to reach top 100 and just and then after that just taking step by step and just taking care of the things that I can control, and just give myself the best chance to achieve my potential. And I think that's the main goal, to feel good about what I'm doing.
You mentioned having the pressure of points coming off and dropping in the ranking and then not getting into tournaments. Can you explain for people who don't know what that means, what it means to have points and have to defend them?
Yeah, so in tennis, you get the points and they last for 1 year. So if, let's say, I get the points in June, my points will last until next June. And then if I have 100 points, maybe next June, I'll go back to 0. So if I don't make points during that period, my ranking will drop. So it's important to build points on points to get higher in the rankings. So whenever you have higher ranking and you can enter higher tournaments, it's an opportunity for you to make more points. And so that's how you build the ranking, and the points last for 1 year. Yeah.
Justina, how can people find you on social media and follow your career?
So I have Instagram. If you want to follow, it's Justina Mik. And then, you can just follow my results, on ITF Tennis or WTA. And or you can download the SofaScore or Resultina and just like follow me there and how I'm doing. And I think that's it. And I hope soon you will see me more often on the big tournaments.
Yes, I'll be cheering for you for the rest of the year and beyond. Justina, thank you so much for being a guest on Beyond the Match.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much for listening to Beyond the Match. Please be sure to rate and review this episode. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at beyondthematch@outlook.com. We're available anywhere you listen to podcasts, and I do mean anywhere. Please also be sure to follow us on Instagram at Beyond the Match Podcast, and look for exclusive content from our episodes only found on our YouTube pages. Until next time, thank you for listening, and I will see you on the courts.
Metacortex Publishing hopes that you've enjoyed this presentation.
Please take a moment to listen to some other podcast offerings from Metacortex Publishing.
A quest is a search for something. And every week, the Quest podcast will show you how we know what we know through interviews with people that have incredible stories of dedication and perseverance. I'm your host, Todd Fisher. Join me in this thought-provoking and inspiring podcast of discovery. Find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
The Danceology podcast interviews the great masters of dance, the working professionals starring in today's most exciting shows, and the rising stars ready to amp up the craft. I'm your host, Edyta Slavenska from Dancing with the Stars. Join me as I dive into the world of dance, uncovering unique stories and the fascinating personalities of industry professionals on Danceology.
The No Earthly Explanation podcast investigates the things that are unexplainable, hosted by world-renowned investigative researcher Donald R. Schmidt and scientist Ellie Ringo. Follow them as they look for evidence for things that have no earthly explanation. Available anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please be sure to rate and review this episode. This podcast is produced by Todd Fisher and Anthony Smith and is distributed by Metacortex Publishing. This podcast is copyright. Any previously trademarked or copyright content is used by permission. Information and opinions stated in this podcast should not be construed as medical advice. Please be sure to visit the official website for Metacortex Publishing at metacortexpublishing.com or find us on social media for other unique content.